Hello everybody, Floppy Hat Photos back here again from their Idiot's Guide to Woodworking and Fire Cleanup. And today it's Tuesday and the fire happened Friday. I'm getting down to the short rows of cleaning up stuff before I bring in the heavy equipment to finish knocking this thing down and really having a go at the massive cleanup, which I'm not sure. I'm probably going to rent a dumpster for that, so I got to do some checking around and find myself a dumpster, because once I get these pieces broke down, I'm going to have to get them back off. I can get them on the trailer, but I don't have the equipment to get it off the trailer, kind of thing. So we'll see. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm trying to avoid the dumpster because they tear up your yard and that's so damn bad. So I do have a handful, like the heavy equipment, or not the heavy equipment, the heavy metal stuff that I'm going to see if anybody wants. I'm going to try and get rid of it, and basically I've got that all over here. Actually, let me turn this around so you can see what I'm talking about. I can see what I'm talking about. I've got a couple joiners. The cabinet's going to go away. I can't get to it right now. The lathe is basically as a stand, all it's going to be good for. And then same as the bandsaw, the air compressor. Somebody wants it for the air tank. I had a guy mention told me to keep that because he might be able to build a fire suppression water sprinkler system. So I don't know how it's going to go and how much it'll cost to do the whole thing, but we'll see. The wood, the lumber's junk. If somebody would want it, I can't stand the smell of smoke. It's in my lungs so bad now in my nose that there's no way I'd take a chance of that ever just seeping out the rest of my life making that project. Same with the toolbox. It's too heavy to move. I gotta go through and inventory the tools before I get rid of it, which I don't know. I just know what to replace, I guess. Same thing with the freezer. That big chunk over in the far corner over there is just so melted together plastic. I'm gonna have to have the backhoe pull it out. I can't even budge it by hand. I tried and can't get to it, and that's where there's tons and tons of money in there. It's so sick how much money's in there. Same as that one. It's all melted in one big chunk. I can't get the stuff out. So the bench is going to go away. It's rotten. Those totes have stuff in them. They might be all right. Haven't opened them up yet. They're eBay stuff that I was going to sell on eBay. Not a big deal. The bench or that shelf over there is going to get... I'm going to see if somebody wants it. I don't know if they do or not. The squirrel feeders, I made those as gifts, although I can't imagine a squirrel would want to eat anything off them. Now that they smell like smoke so bad, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a few out with some corn on it, see if the squirrel comes through. If they do, then I'll go ahead and give them away to people if they want them. The Blada, my little motorcycle, I'm probably going to hold on to it just as like a wall hanging. I'll probably hang it from its wheels or something from the rafters if I ever get a new shop. So we'll see what happens yet. And I come down, I got a bit of stuff here. I've been kind of shoveling it up into piles. The floor is actually surprisingly fairly clean here with how I've been going at this. This is the one thing I had the hardest time of throwing away. I should have thrown it away first, because right near the door would have made it a lot easier getting stuff in and out. But I can't bring myself to throw this thing away. I just finished this stand. I literally never even made a cut on it once I got that stand built, and I loved that saw so much. I'd spent hours tuning that thing in dead perfect. The fences were dead straight, the lasers were dead on, and that was the first really saw that I bought that I splurged. I spent way out of my need for it. I really went above and beyond what I needed on that saw, and it felt awesome every time I used it. I felt it was so cool. So I had a little crappy $65 one that I actually ended up selling to my buddy after we built his shop, the smoke shed, whatever. We built it. I ended up selling that to him when I bought this thing. And yeah, my table saw, it's an awesome saw, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful saw, but it's the cheapest saw I could find that was even close to comparable. This saw here was the Mac Daddy of saws. This wasn't it wasn't ridiculous. I wasn't buying a Festool or something like that, but for what I felt I needed to spend, it was about twice what I felt I needed to spend. And I just really wanted a really good compound miter saw, and I love this thing. And I will be replacing it if I get any money. If I can come up with the money, I will definitely be replacing that thing with the exact same saw, because I didn't find anything I didn't like about it. I really didn't. Once I got it tuned in, it took me a while to get it tuned in, but it was just phenomenal. It was accurate on the angles and stuff, and I think it's part of the reason why I'm having this is one of the hardest things I can't get rid of, and I'm going to throw it away here in a minute. And it's absolutely killing me. I think because of the fact that I had it perfectly lined up. The boards go behind the chimney, and out the door I've had really long boards to cut, and everything about it was just, I loved where it was setting in the shop. Everything about it, I was impressed. But it's got to go, so I can just finish shoveling out the shit underneath it. So yeah, that's where I'm at, I guess, in the whole process. I got to go through and just, I don't know, there's so much little crap you just don't realize. One of the big things over here, my speakers, arguably the stereo, the speakers were up there. I waited and holding off on throwing them away also. Clearly junk. I've had those since high school. I mean, I'm fucking turning 40 in December. I've had those since high school. So I didn't use the stereo out here very often, but every once in a while I would throw in an old, like, I don't know, NWA, or I'd throw in some old Snoop Dogg or some of that stuff and just crank that thing up and just knock the shit out of the rafters. And just, these speakers were badass. They were phenomenal, superbly loud on my little Fisher stereo. And I realized I'll never have that again, probably the rest of my life. I'll never have a big dumb stereo like that, because everything's just use it off your iPhone, throw some Bluetooth speakers out there, and I'm never going to buy wall rattling home stereo ever again. I might have someday some bass in a vehicle again, but I don't really plan on ever having any purpose at all for like big home stereo speakers. And those things are ginormous, and they're ridiculously, obnoxiously ugly and stuff, and the whole look of an apartment or whatever, or a house or a RV or where the hell a person lives in, you just really can't justify having that anymore. So that right there is kind of where I'm at. It's kind of sad to see those go. The stereo was actually a gift for me. It was actually part was bought as a gift. The receiver and the tape deck was bought as a gift, and we're buying a single CD changer. I had upgraded to the Fisher 24. It's a giant 24 carousel CD changer. At the time, it was just brand new. Whatever, it was like been out like a week and a half like that. So I actually paid the difference for it. Then I bought those badass speakers from a coworker of mine who'd upgraded to some Bose, and I ended up frying one of those like a month after I got it from him. It was still under warranty, so he replaced it, had it fully reworked and stuff. They actually redid both because the company is such a badass company. They're like, hey, it's going to sound different with one new and one old, so we're going to go ahead and rebuild both speakers for you. So that was cool as hell. Those things had been to like kegers and stuff. I used to throw them in the back of the truck, and I'd head out to a party with my stereo and plug it into a damn outlet out in the middle by a bonfire and stuff. It was ridiculous. The abuse they took, and they had a couple nicks in them. They held up so well. It was amazing. But this little saw is just, it's really hard on me to tear this thing out of here, and it's been waiting forever, and it's literally the last thing left besides that big shelf over there, which I just got cleaned off like 10 minutes ago, and I got to haul that bench out, but they're both bulky enough that I'm going to wait and throw them in the dumpster, I think. So that's pretty much the mix of it all. So anyway, that's all I got for now. I will talk to you guys soon. Have yourself a safe and wonderful day. Be safe out there. Get out there in your shop, make some sawdust, and don't save the precious wood. It may be gone.